Okay guys, just documenting this. Today I've been put under a quarantine order. Not really an order, but I guess we should start at the beginning. On January 1st, my cousin and my aunt came to our place. They just drove by to drop off crispy pata and a tomahawk pork chop. And none of us took off our masks. We just picked up the food from them in the basement parking of our condo. We were all masked. It was open air. But yeah, yesterday they told us that my cousin had tested positive for COVID-19. Now normally, you know, you would think, okay, so Saturday was January the 1st and yesterday was January 6th, right? It's a little far away to think that we were exposed and we were sick. But here's the thing. I developed symptoms on Monday, which is January 3rd. I had a backache on Monday, and then on Tuesday, after I swam, I felt a little congested, a little bit like I had sinus pain, so I had a headache, I had kind of a stuffy nose and a sore throat. And that usually happens to me after a swim because my body reacts to the chlorines. I'm a little bit allergic to the chlorine, and I usually take something like Decolgen Forte just to bring down the inflammation in my sinuses, and that usually takes care of it. But that didn't work on Tuesday night. Wednesday morning I woke up, I still had this headache. I wasn't really like, I didn't have a runny nose, but I felt really congested up here. And then on Thursday, which was yesterday, that's when our cousin said that she was positive for COVID. So yeah, I'm definitely a suspect case. And yeah, I informed Pasig City, our barangay health unit, yesterday about my situation. They got in touch with me this morning, like really early this morning, and yeah, we've been just texting back and forth. So yeah, that's the current state of affairs at this point. I'm hoping that it's actually not COVID, it's an unrelated like cold, but you know, you can't really be too sure, you can't take things for granted, so it's better to test and be safe than sorry. So we also have a 14-day quarantine that starts from today. I don't know exactly when they're going to be testing me, and I also don't know if I test negative, are they going to release us from quarantine early, or do I still have to complete the quarantine? I don't know. I'll find out over these days. I decided to start a video diary just in case in the future this is going to turn out to be a good resource for other people who might be going through the same thing. Right now, I am sorting through my Puritan's Pride gift box, which they gave me last year, because I know I have an oximeter in there, and even though I'm vaccinated and I got my booster on December 30, it always pays to be kind of over-prepared, and if you keep track of your oxygen levels, then you know if you're experiencing one of the side effects or one of the symptoms of severe COVID infection, which is dropping oxygen saturation levels. So let's take a look at the box and see if my oximeter is still working. So thank you, Puritan's Pride. I didn't realize this box was going to come in handy. Here is the pulse oximeter. Yep. Batteried up. Good morning. This is day 2 of my quarantine. Excuse the mess. This is my room and this is my dog. And since we are not allowed to leave the condo premises, as in we can't even go up to our laundry cage or go down to the parking, I'm having to reteach my dog where he can go to do his business. We'll see how it goes, but if he doesn't go today, I'm gonna have to ask my sister to adopt him. They live in a separate unit from us and they haven't had contact with us, So they're not under quarantine. Poor little guy is one of the casualties of this quarantine. Now, I am supposed to report to the barangay health unit what my temperature is and what I'm feeling twice a day, so 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. I've just sent the 9 a.m. text to them. Currently, I am not running a fever. I have normal body temperature. I still have my postnasal drip. I had a headache this morning, but it's gone, and the back pain is also kind of dissipating. So I am recovering. I haven't been swabbed yet. I don't know when they're going to swab me. I don't know if they're going to swab me, if they're just going to let me run out my 14 days of quarantine. I guess, I mean, given the surge in the country, I don't think that we're too high a priority at this point. They probably are triaging the tests, so only those with really bad conditions are the ones that are tested first, so that they can get appropriate medical care. For those of us who are just close contacts who happen to have developed symptoms, but they're mild symptoms that could also be indicative of just a cold or a flu, they're probably giving 5 days and then gonna test us, just so we don't get a false negative on anything. So bright. It is day 3 of the quarantine period. I still haven't been swabbed, and because I can't really go and walk my dog Calvin, I had to ask my sister to foster him for the remainder of my quarantine period. Now, I don't know if in case I test negative on the RT-PCR, whether they're going to shorten the quarantine period or they're just gonna let the whole 14-day course run out. But yeah, I'm gonna have to cope with not having my dog with me. I woke up this morning at around 6:45 a.m. and that's usually the time when he's like rolling around in his bed, still trying to sleep. Then eventually he wakes up and he tries to wake me up. This morning I woke up around that time and he wasn't there, so yeah, I miss my dog. The day of my the day we started quarantine was the day I repotted my monstera, so it's now in this gigantic, like 1 foot diameter pot, and I was so happy. It started growing a new leaf. So I've just finished recording this week's YouTube video or vlog, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on who is back. The dog is back. Apparently Calvin gave my sister and her family a hard time last night, and so yeah. She's volunteered to like pick him up, so I put him outside the door. She'll pick him up if he needs to get walked outside and do his business, and then bring him back. So basically it's still not going to be any contact between us, but at least this baby gets his needs served. I missed you. I missed you. Hey guys, it is day 4 of home quarantine. Some bad news, because our condo management isn't allowing our local laundry service to pick up laundry from our unit, so we have to call out and find like a third party or a external laundry service, laundry provider to take our laundry. So it's a bit of a big bummer for me, because they're supposed to be helping us accomplish this quarantine. It's just annoying because, you know, I wish they would give us a bit more help. It's like they didn't even give us like a recommended laundry service to call out to. It's just, you're on your own. And in other news, I still haven't been scheduled for an RT-PCR test. Counting from the date of symptom onset, it is already 8 days since then. So even if I tested I don't know if I'm going to test positive or negative, and you know, we won't really know. But here's what I learned from other people when I posted about my plight. Apparently, quarantine these days, if you're a close contact who's developed symptoms, is around 7 to 10 days. It's no longer 14 days. And that's for a person who's tested positive, okay? I haven't even been tested. And so I decided to take things into my own hands, and I have booked in for a private RT-PCR test. I am paying for it out of pocket, but I figure that that's going to be just the easier way to know my status and to know if we can be released from quarantine. It just sucks that, you know, you do the right thing, or you try to do the right thing, and you end up being penalized or punished for it. Good evening. It is just a little past 6:15 p.m. and I just got swabbed. My poor nose has been poked, and so is my throat. I nearly sneezed, but I got through it. I was a brave girl. Now to wait for results. I don't know when they're gonna come out, but yeah, that's what you gotta do. Good morning. I forgot to take a video yesterday. So yesterday was day 5. Today is day 6. But my results came back yesterday afternoon, and it's negative. Part of me is regretting that I asked the city to put us under quarantine first before testing. Like, maybe I could have just paid for the test, because I actually paid for my test instead of waiting for the city's testing. And what I didn't know was, when I booked that test, it was the 25-hour turnover. Obviously the price was at a premium, but yeah, I got my results. And so now I'm trying to get us cleared from quarantine. I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't know also if we have to quarantine for 7 days. So do we have to remain in quarantine until tomorrow, or can we break it now? I was busy at work yesterday. I had no symptoms, and we've had no symptoms for the past 3 days as well, so hopefully that's enough to clear us for exiting quarantine today, and so that I can walk Calvin, because he's been my main issue for the past few days. Like, I haven't been able to walk him. So, and also I've had pee pads like laid out down here, and it's hit or miss. Like, sometimes he'll pee on them and sometimes he just refuses to pee. He's never pooped here. He's had to poop downstairs. So it's just, I need to break free of this quarantine. I just informed the person monitoring us from the barangay health center, and they said, happy to know your result was negative. Please continue monitoring and quarantining so you can receive clearance after 14 days. What? I'm thankful that I work from home, so I haven't lost any days of work, but it's infuriating because whether you test negative or positive, you're still stuck inside for 14 days. Good morning. It is day 7 of quarantine, and you know, after yesterday's little rant, I was able to convince our designated contact tracer that he needed to check the quarantine guidelines. So from 14 days, I was able to argue it down successfully to 10 days, which is still longer than the currently accepted length of quarantine for negative testing people with symptoms. So it's not ideal, but I didn't want to push my luck because sometimes things are arbitrary, and I didn't want the quarantine period to be pushed back suddenly to another 14 days or to 14 days total. So we are going to be free from quarantine by Monday morning, hopefully, and the city epidemiological surveillance unit should be able to provide us certification of being cleared of quarantine by then. So that's the only time that we'll be able to break free. I hate that it feels like prison because it isn't. I mean, it's something, quarantine is something that you need to do to kind of protect community health, and I'm happy to do it if it's justified, but I just feel like, as somebody who did everything as she was supposed to, I've been vaccinated, I tested negative, I quarantined when I did, and I tested on the appropriate days. It's just, I wish that quarantine rules made more sense. Anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm actually applying some makeup because I still have to work while in quarantine, and I have a meeting coming up in a few minutes, and I just kind of feel really haggard from things that have been happening. So I am just trying to make myself look and feel better. And so it is towards the end of day 8 in quarantine. Yeah, we're all feeling fine. It is Friday, trying to keep track of the days because they kind of blend into each other. And yeah, we're just trying to finish off with the rest of the days in quarantine. There's day 9 tomorrow and day 10 on Sunday. Even though we don't really have anywhere else to go, at least, you know, there's a big difference between being inside here, inside this unit, and being down there. I, for one, kind of really miss running. But yeah, I've also been taking it easy for the past few days. I haven't done anything strenuous because even though I did not have COVID, I did come from a cold. And after a few years of not having had the common cold, that was kind of a new experience for this body. And I'm not really in training for anything anyway. You're like me right now, I want to get out from behind bars. So it is the evening of day 9. I didn't really have much to say about today. It's Saturday. But, so the Pasig City Mayor, Mayor Vico Soto, just announced that he's tested positive for COVID. And he says that he's going to isolate for 7 days. I tested negative for COVID, but I was asked to quarantine for 10 days. Isolation is when you're positive, and quarantine is when you're negative, but you're still asked to seclude yourself from the outside world. So anyway, not that I'm bitter about it or anything. I'm just a little bit confused about the seeming arbitrariness of it all. Good morning. It is the last day of home quarantine. One thing to note is that people have told me that the 7-day isolation or quarantine period has only come into effect from January 15. It's January 16, and that is why we were still made to quarantine for 10 days. I don't really get it. It's all very arbitrary to me. My point being, the new quarantine periods were announced last week, but Pasig didn't implement them immediately, so it's just really frustrating. In any case, do you know how long we've been quarantining? It's been so long that this plant, which I repotted, started sprouting a new shoot, and today that new shoot is unfurling. Yeah, I'll be happy to rejoin the outside world from tomorrow. Today, our monitor, the contact tracer, told us that we didn't have to submit the monitoring anymore, so I don't have to send them our temperature and our symptom status because we're already for clearance. Hi folks, it's day 11, and as you can tell, we're still at home because we haven't been sent our clearance from Pasig City Epidemiological Surveillance Unit. So right now the time is 1:50 p.m. and our contact tracer said that they would inform us by 2 p.m. if the clearance was available already. I'm reading through a lot of my friends' comments, and some of them had trouble securing the clearance until like 3 days after they were supposed to end their quarantine or their isolation because they were positive patients, which does not bode well, but I'm hopeful that that was an outlier and my case will be processed much faster. My trust in the system is shot. I'm very, very, very disappointed that I tried to do all the right things and still got punished for it. Do you see why it's dead in my eyes? Because I just got my clearance and they made a mistake with gender. So you are looking at Mr. Noel de Guzman, 38 years old, male. Hey guys, final update on this entire saga. So my condo administration has accepted my clearance even if the gender is wrong, just because they're correcting that clearance anyway. So provisionally we are cleared from quarantine. So I'm very excited. I am getting ready to go out for a run. It's been a very interesting quarantine experience. And I know sometimes I may have been a little harsh. Everybody's doing the best they can, especially during this surge the country is experiencing. I'm sure my barangay, the city, they're all kind of overwhelmed at this point. So yes, mistakes were made. I'm hoping that service is better for other people who end up in quarantine and isolation in the future. I'm just, I'm happy that I never tested positive for COVID. My parents are both healthy. The only thing we really lost was a tiny bit of my sanity during this entire process, but that's coming back because I'll be able to run again. Would I self-report and go into quarantine like I did? I'm not sure. Maybe next time I will test first to see if I'm positive, and then if I'm positive, then I will undergo their procedures, because I think that's where somebody will definitely benefit from having city assistance. But otherwise, if you're just quarantining, if you're not a positive case, you're just taking yourself out of the general population so that you don't get anyone sick with whatever you have, whether it's a cold or flu. Do it yourself. Do it on your own. I hope you enjoyed my little descent or spiral into desperation. If you did, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you again next time. Bye!